So good morning, everybody, and let me congratulate you again, even if it's 11 a.m., so it's a bit later than the first panel of the day. Let me congratulate everybody for being awake at this hour. My name is Dan Fintescu. I am from Romania. I am the main moderator and one of the organizers of the MMB Music Conference and Showcase Festival in Bucharest, Romania. I have my two colleagues, Anca and Karina, over there, so you can just ask them about us. We're cool, nice, and reaching our 5th edition. I want to extend my thanks to Peter for inviting me here. I'm here to make his life easier because he used to moderate all the panels, so now I'm his little brother, and I'm pretty happy and proud to be here. We are going to talk today about one very, very pressing issue for the music industry, and it's been a very pressing issue for the past, since forever, I think. How to approach media. So I'm an artist manager, I'm an artist's PR, or I'm a DIY artist. How do I get the media to listen to my music, to review my music, to air my music, to talk about my music? How do I do that? Because it's kind of a mystery, or like a game of luck or science. This is the ambitious mission that we have in the next 45 minutes, and I'm happy to have 3 very experienced people in my panel. I'm going to let them talk a little bit about themselves. So please, just a few words about each one of you, so people know whose advice they're going to get.
Hi guys, hi. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Is it? No, I don't think so. Is this on?
I don't think it's on.
I don't think it's on.
Right, thank you very much. My name's Anastasia, and I used to be a writer. So in my previous life, I used to be a journalist, used to write for loads of blogs, magazines, and then several years ago now, I crossed over to the dark side. So now I do PR. Primarily do print and online, mainly UK, but also Europe. I work for a range of clients, from festivals and showcases to labels, some DIY artists, and music exports as well. So my clients are Tallinn Music Week, a lot of Scottish Album of the Year nominees. I worked for Mastering the Music Business, one of the festivals represented here. I am also part of global publicity, so I work on Eurosonic, and I work on Off Festival in Poland, So it's quite a, broad range of clients and big roster that I have.
Hi, I'm Sandy Graham, and I own Cashbox Canada in the Great White North. And I also am an owner of Record World magazine in Nashville, so we have the combination of Canadian and US. We also are very happy to have been able to bring our Cashbox Caravan artists for the first time. Some of our Canadian artists are here, and I see a lot of little familiar faces in the audience about that. I told them not to pick their noses or embarrass me. But anyway, our goal, I do this, and I also run a company called Entertainment Music Group, so we help promote artists globally. And our goal here today is to teach you how to approach the media, because we are approachable. It just depends how you approach us.
Hi, my name is Ziga Klancar. I'm from Radio Slovenija, from the main channel called Val 202. I'm head of music there, so I get lots of materials, a lot of songs, and so I guess we'll talk about that.
I just want to, I think I'm going to keep that. First question for you guys is, how many emails about music or sent by people trying to sell their music to you do you get per day, average?
Okay, well, nowadays it's irrelevant, but I still do get emails from my writing days. And I certainly, I've asked that question a lot of writers, freelancers, as well as editors. With editors, it ranges from 500, if we're talking big national outlet, to freelancers, really experienced ones, who write for a range of big publications. Could still be easily about in the region of about 200 a day. So basically, it's physically impossible for them to listen to everything that you send.
Even though we're called Cashbox Canada about 2 or 3 years ago, thanks to Peter, I don't know how I got into this, but now we're doing global stories, which is very exciting for us, because we expose a lot of international artists to Canada, and that way I can, as they're reading our magazine, we're exposing our Canadian artists to the global world. And I truly believe music has no borders anyway, so we probably should have called it Cashbox International. But I average 1,700 to 2,000 emails a day requesting 1,700 to 2,000. If I open my phone right now, there's probably 1,800 emails from yesterday. And I obviously don't get to read them all. And so what I try to do sometimes is I do them alphabetically, like play games, and I'll do the A's, and I try and sort it out. You know, okay, I'll do the ones that say please. And so it really is your subject line that gets me. You know, I respond to, I know you're busy, if you have a minute. I go, oh, I like this. I don't respond to, why didn't you listen to it? I sent it to you last week. I go, really? Bye. I said an example earlier today. I was in my room yesterday and I got 2 tickets for an Eventbrite opening for a CD launch, which I never ordered, and they were comped, and it's an artist in Toronto, Canada, that put me on a list and sent me tickets saying I was going September 21st. Well, I'm obviously not going, and now I will never review your CD because you took the advantage of using my name responding. So those are the kind of things you have to be very careful about. Manners, I always say learn your media manners, right? I mean, that's a major part of it.
Yes, it is. And know your media. So
Yes.
know who you're sending what. So
Well, there's GDPR as well, you know, this European Union regulation.
Sure.
Technically, you can't actually, you know, add somebody to the database without their consent.
Right. We have that.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
So I don't get such a mass emails as you ladies, but out of 100 to 200 mails, it's maybe 20, 30 a day with new music. Well, some of them include more music. So we get it from labels, managers, press people, and also, as we are a small country, a lot of it directly from artists. So we are skipping some of the time the middle guy. Also, we connect through Facebook and stuff like that. So a lot of communication is going directly.
I didn't do
have a
that.
question to ask about CDs.
Yeah.
We still get people mailing CDs to us, and I actually still have a CD player in my laptop and everything. We accept all of that. We accept vinyl. We love vinyl. Vinyl is coming back big time. And, you know, just sometimes I don't have the time to download something. And maybe I'm old school, but I like reading the back of a CD. I like reading the credits. I like seeing the artwork. And so my Saturday mornings are spent cleaning the house and putting CDs on.
With regard to CDs, you know, not everybody produces promo CDs. Obviously, it's an additional cost. So I would warn you against that. There are some people, I know that some offices, like for instance the Quietest, Loud and Quiet, you know, they have a CD player and they do listen to stuff, you know. Some bloggers like that as a bit of a reward because they don't get paid, you know, and it's nice to have a like promo copy, you know. But the majority of people, you know, still prefer downloads, you know. Sometimes people like it because they drive, you know, in the car they still have a CD player, you know, that kind of thing. So, but it's very much on a kind of one-to-one basis. Overall, you know, just for as long as you have, you know, the option of like streaming and downloading and your album or whatever it is, you know, as that's a kind of the big difference. I still know people who, you know, absolutely hate streams and, you know, prefer downloads there. And that's easy enough to include in your press release there. But CDs, you know, go easy on it. You know, maybe burn a few copies there for somebody who really wants to, prefers that, send them with a note, you know, obviously it's more personalized thing, you know, or higher level publications as well as an additional way of kind of reintroducing yourself after your mail out there. But overall, you know, just stream and download's fine.
So I'm imagining that I would be attending my first conference as a DIY artist, and then I would take notes of what you guys are saying, and I would say like CDs, oh no, downloads, no, streaming, no. The conclusion is you have to know the person that you're emailing, you have to know the person that you're talking to, and actually learn their preferences, because these people are getting thousands, hundreds, tens of emails a day. They cannot physically listen to and read each one of them, but they will pay attention to those that fit the way they like to listen to music. So
But it's
learn.
also format, you know, for radio,
Thank you. For radio, you need downloads, you know. That's absolutely of no use to them if you're sending just a streaming link, yeah? So with BBC, which is actually quite accessible if you know the producers, you know.
You kind of went ahead there, and I wanted to ask you, can I mass email my music to a huge list comprised of bloggers, radio stations, TV stations, or do I have to present my music differently depending on the media channel that I'm addressing? And what are some of the stuff I should say to bloggers but shouldn't say to radios and vice versa?
Yeah, I usually have different segments, you know, just mentioned in terms of downloads and the radio. That's pretty core and fundamental, you know, because that's what they want to do. The serious people are going to go straight to like listening to stuff. There's also the timelines, you know, with print magazines. Some of them are like as long as 5 months, easily 3 months for something like Mojo Q magazine. Print papers, you know, less than that, but still, you know, they would appreciate if you sent something early. Where, you know, the smaller the blog, the easier it is, you know, because they don't have like a waiting list, you know, or you know, they can turn it around within a week sometimes, yeah. So timelines are quite important depending on the media, you know. What you include, you know, the format is important. You always, I mean, with something like radio, you know, video is not really that much use. Could be of interest, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, you can't see a video on radio. You know, photos are still could be important if they're adding something to their website, you know, but ultimately it's about the music, and it's very, very succinct, and a bio or press release, you know, probably, you know, more succinct than what I would send to the press people. Again, press people would appreciate a press release which is written professionally, done well. I always commission professional writers. And another reason there's two reasons. One is like putting money back into the music ecosystem, because journalists get so little money, you know, and it's kind of providing at least, you know, a little thank you to them. And another one is, you know, if I hire a, you know, big shot writer who writes for a lot of big nationals, you know, it's very likely that they'll help me, you know, to place that particular artist with a big publication, you know, be it Clash or be it NME and that kind of thing. So it's in your interest overall, you know, to do that. You know, photos, I would always also advise you to have maybe at least 6, you know, with credits for the photographer. Mostly because it's for online, you know, it's going to be landscape oriented, because that's what they want online, rather than portrait. With print publications, you know, if they want portraits, quite often, you know, they bring their own photographer for a big interview or something like that. Well, you always have all the information about the band, who's in the band, what they're playing, some credits about, you know, who mastered the album, who produced, you know, that sort of thing. What else? Quotes, if you've got something from previous publications, press praise, you know, you can put it at the top. But I would say, you know, only if it's big name publications. You know, if it's small blogs, to be honest, it's not all that impressive there at all. Well, those are the kind of the key ingredients. You can include also touring dates if you've got upcoming dates there, you know, so it's an opportunity to invite people, you know, so when you do the first mailing, you can follow it up, you know, with an invitation to the gig and things like that. You know, those are the key kind of ingredients, and make sure that you test whatever you're sending, you know. I mean, there are systems that are, you know, cheap or free. You can use MailChimp, for instance, you know, for quite a large size, I think up to about 2,000 entries, you can use it for free. But, you know, do test whatever you're sending. Make sure that all of your links work, you know. There is nothing worse than links that don't work, because these people, you know, they don't have time. If it doesn't work, that's it. They move on to something else. So, I mean, these are the things that would sound like UK and Europe. You know, there might be some differences between North America.
Yeah, Sandy, I saw you nodding, but also saying no to some of the stuff.
I hate
So
landscape pictures. If you look, I think you have to do, only because of our format, I think if you're going to send to a publication, again, we've talked about this, do your homework. I can't tell you how many people think I'm a man, because Sandy is a boy's name in Scotland. And so they'll go on, and sometimes I get these filthy jokes. I go, okay, here we go. I'll tell them it's actually Sandra. Do your homework. Look at the site that you want to get the story on. And sometimes I don't like quotes from other magazines, because if I get something, Billboard is my direct competition. If I get a quote from Billboard, you really think I'm going to put that in the article? Of course not. So be careful with who you do quote from. Do your homework in the area. If it's a disc jockey locally that said something nice about you, do your homework. And that's a big part of this. But if you've never written a press release, going right from the ground up, if you've done it, before, great. But if any of you have never written a press release, go by the 5 W's, right? Who, what, where, when, why. Make it concise. Don't make it hard. It's called the inverted triangle. Put your most important stuff at the top. That's what grabs me, right? And then at the bottom, you move slower down to the contact information. We have a particular, I'll give a little plug here, a PR guy in Canada called Eric Alper. He's about 4'0". He's amazing. He got 7 of 12 stories from me last week, because the way he sends his press releases. Everything is bio, everything's clickable, bio, website, album cover, 2 photos to choose from, credits, SoundCloud. I go, oh gosh, this is amazing. I've only got 2 hours. And so if I'm searching for a photo and you send me something that's 100 in DPI, I can't use it. I need at least 300 DPI. And then what happens is I can't find it. I'm on deadline. Check your deadlines for magazines too. We're our deadline Wednesday to run on Friday, period. Someone sends me something Thursday, they get mad it's not in Friday. I can't do anything about that. We have a system, we have a staff. So and then they get mad at me. Well, you sent it in Wednesday at 5. Wednesday at 1 is my deadline. So check your deadlines. Do your homework for every publication that you're targeting. But as well, with someone like an Eric, if he sends me that, and then someone sends me something and I have to go searching for a photo, Peter Asset and I've talked about this, you put the photo up, and then they say, well, that's not the photo I wanted. Then you should have sent it to me. Let me give you your money back. Right, I'm not charging you. So, that's very frustrating for us. And so what happens when you've got the amount of emails that I have, you're right, I just move on to the next. I go, I can't do this. Great album, great song. I don't have the time to spend an hour looking for your material.
Sorry, can I just add something? What I was saying is I was talking about mail shots, really, which is really mass mailings. You can still segment it, you can have like different templates there, but this is, when I'm sending stuff to like several thousand. When it comes to pitches, that's where you really need to do your homework, So you can do the mass mailing and then follow it up with, something that's more focused on that particular person. That's where you need to do your homework, about what they do and how they do it. But with quotes in general in UK it would work, because competitor or not, for especially with bloggers, there's a lot of bloggers who will respond if they see, that something's been reviewed or got a quote from much bigger, higher up the food chain kind of publications. It's a different kind of mentality there, yeah?
okay, how about radio? Because that's a different story. You're not publishing a story. They're actually pitching their music in order to get aired. So what kind of information is relevant for a music director?
It's easier if you try to communicate before you send out a press email, a mass email. Try to know the people. I know it's easy for me to say because I'm from a small country, so it's not hard to get in touch with me and send me the music. But if you're a niche artist, try to get to know the media, know the person you're talking to.
How many emails do you get from? Because I'm assuming that a national station will not air, will have like a certain array of genres that you're airing. And do you get emails from artists that are not in that segment?
Yeah, sure. We play a wide variety of music, but there are still quite some that we don't play, and we get lots of that because it's just a mass email, so it gets sent out to everyone, and we get it as well. So the more of that I get, the less serious I'm gonna take you.
I'm sorry, it was a targeted question. You as a manager, and if you're managing a death metal band and you're targeting him, he's going to remember your name because you're trying to sell him something he's not airing. And maybe 5 years from now, you're going to manage an emerging pop act, you're going to email him, and he's going to say, this is the guy with the death metal band. He didn't do his homework. I'm not listening to his crap. So that's what I'm saying. they do remember. Like Sandy, she had stories about emails that really got to her or made her mad. She remembers those persons, even though she gets 2,000 emails a
Say
day.
something on that for a sec. One of the new things that the Canadian PR people are using, which I cannot stand, is they open it up with "I have an opportunity for you." So I send back my ad rate sheet and say, well, that's great. I have an opportunity for you as well. So why don't you buy an ad? And you don't have an opportunity for me. I'm here to help you. But I will say that another thing about journalists is without you, I don't have a job. So I need the music. I need the artists. Never think, I mean, I technically work for you in that sense. But, you know, be aware. I call it media manners. Be aware that we're sensitive people too. That if I write something about you, one of my writers writes something, say thank you. Put it up on social media. Send them a personal email saying, wow, that was a great story. They will remember you. And also follow up if you've got a tour coming up or a new album 6 months from now. We wrote a cover story on you. Follow up. Get back to us. It doesn't cost anything, you know. But I think media manners is a very important thing. Open it up. Say hello. When you get a story, say thank you. Share it with everybody, your friends, your family, everyone. We appreciate that because our numbers go up. And that's why you get a story, because you help us get our numbers up.
I totally agree with it, you know, because writers, you know, always felt they're the creatives, same as the musicians as well. You know, as far as I'm concerned, we're in customer services, you know. If anybody in PR tells you they're in creative, you know, music industry, no. We're customer services. That's the main thing about what we do there. Another thing I wanted to mention, you said about the radio, you know, because I do work primarily with Six Music. The way that the BBC works, you know, it's not so much the presenters themselves, you know, that you want to target. You know, you may get hold of from someone, you know, their like personal email, but it's the producers who deal with it, you know. So the producers channel the music to the presenter, you know, for a particular show, and they know their taste, and they know also kind of the demographics of the program. They know what the kind of the targets that they have and things like that, and you know, the schedules for the next several weeks. You know, they're the people you want to talk to, you know, and just like with everything else, you know, it helps if you know people face to face, you know, or kind of, I was lucky, you know, I worked for a label for a while, and that was a very Six Music label, so I got to know all the producers there, you know. It was an easy way in for me, you know, representing the label, so immediately, you know, you get all of your emails open, you know, and now they know me.
Okay, so just to summarize, and from now on, anybody who has a question, just raise your hand. Do your homework. So know who you're talking to, know the way they listen to music, know what music they're writing about or airing. This is the most important thing that you need to leave this panel as a conclusion. Do your homework. How about bad reviews? Because there's people that send out their music and they only expect praise, but their music is listened to by a human being with personal tastes. So what if I'm an artist, I sent you my music, I got your attention, and I get a bad review?
Well, there's a difference between, you know, PR and journalism. You know? And I do believe in bad reviews, you know, because I believe in journalism, maybe because I come from that kind of background. There are more and more kind of publications. I mean, something like the line of Best Fit, you know, it's part of their mission statement, that they only cover the music they love, you know, and there's a lot more of that kind of millennial publications, you know, do that. But I do...
You call them millennial fake.
But I do believe, you know, that certain things, you know, do deserve, you know, bad reviews for one thing or another, and, you know, good analysis. And, you know, journalism. I'm a big fan, for instance, of a site called The Quietus. Anybody heard about The Quietus? You know, it's huge. It's pretty global, you know, nowadays. But it is very much alternative side of things, you know. And I guess, you know, most of the artists that I work with are, you know, within, you know, the artists and the events, you know, less commercial and more alternative. So yes, you know, I think...
yeah, but I need an answer to my question, which was, what do I do as an artist if I get a bad review? Do I get mad and thrash the journalist?
Absolutely not, no.
Do I say thank you? Do I say nothing? What is an okay reaction?
You certainly do not argue back. because that's going to create really. Some people do that on social media, start snapping back at the journalist or at the publication. It looks terrible if you do that. You don't need to retweet that, cover that, just kind of let it lie, and they have as much of a right, unless there is something in that review which you find, like sexist or racist, or that you find there is a really big issue in it, then you can raise it, but not publicly. You can always write to the publication, to the editor, or kind of speak to your PR, so they speak to the publication about that. Do not, wash your dirty linen in public. It's never a good idea.
Sandy.
Well, we have a mandate with our magazines that I won't let the writer write a bad review, because it's just our opinion. If we don't like your album, that doesn't mean it's not a good album. And it's just what we think, and we're just people too. And also, you can destroy a person's career by one review. And it's just our personal mandate, and our writers know that. And sometimes they get a little edgy, and I'm the editor, so I get to take it out. And we actually pay our writers, which is quite amazing. But and I think it's important to that. We've seen, I won't name the artist, but we saw an artist. Do you remember, Don, when the bad review?
Laurie Yates.
Sorry? Laurie Yates, an amazing country artist. Someone wrote a bad review on her, and her career is tanked. And so I will get someone calling me saying, well, I sent you my album and you didn't review it, and blah, 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 and they'll get very aggressive. And I say, look, I didn't like it, and that's just me. Try another publication, I'll give you a list of people to call. But that's just how we feel, because we're all, within Cashbox, they're singers and songwriters, and I was a dance choreographer, so we're all creative people, so we know how that feels. There's going to be 800 reviews that love it, and the one that didn't, you go, oh God, they hate my album. They all hate my album. So we don't want to do that, and that's just our personal mandate. That's who we are. I should let you know that Cashbox has grown so much. It started in 1948, and I'll tell you this quickly, but it was the Cashbox in a jukebox, and that's how they created charts. So that's how we got that name. And we've been going since 1948 in the U.S., and we've been going for 14 years in Canada, and I own Canada. So, our belief is that we've been on that end where someone hasn't liked it, and how much that hurts. Because that's someone's dream, and I'm taking their dream and going, whatever. And that's not fair. That's just not fair to me. But that's just my personal opinion. I think that it's important to understand that someone's worked really hard at that album, spent their money, borrowed from their parents, done whatever they did, and in 10 minutes, you've just tanked their dream. So that's how we operate. But we will tell the person why we didn't like it. And I think that's important too, to have that feedback, to understand why we didn't like it. I had an email last night from somebody saying, I have this heavy metal punk, can I puke on your mother? I'm like, no, really? No, we're not going to review that. That's just our mandate, So that's how we operate. A lot of other magazines love to do that because it draws more readers. It's the Howard Stern syndrome, but that's not how we operate.
We get a lot of emails from people asking about the feedback about their music, so we just talk to them. It's not recorded well, your voice is not perfect, and most of the time they don't get angry. We just tell them, come back with another song, let's talk later. But we also help them with other stuff like don't swear, make a shorter radio edit, don't sing in English if you want to stand out in your own country, stuff like that.
Okay. There was a question over there?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I have two questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Basically, how often can we follow up, and how long of a period do you prefer, like having in between follow-ups? Because so if you don't get a response, right, that's when I mean follow-up. And the other question is, if an artist is not represented by a PR company or a manager, is that important for you guys if we just send our emails directly to you ourselves?
Excellent question.
Yep. That's a very good question.
For me, it doesn't matter if it comes from a label or from the artist. And follow up, there's no rule. Maybe I've missed your email, so if you just politely ask me again, sure, I'm gonna try to look it up.
We like follow-ups because with that many emails, sometimes you slip through the cracks, and so I don't mind that. We don't have a mandate to have a PR company or a label or anything like that. We love to get personal emails, which is why I have 2,000 emails. But we love that because that could be, you know, we've just launched Cashbox Radio, just so you know. We're trying to do a digital radio station around the world. And we want to be the guys that played that first song for the first time that became a hit. That's really important to me. And I feel the same way about stories. Anyone could give Ed Sheeran a cover story, anybody. But we pick artists that people don't know. And that you don't know, we could be the first person to put them on a cover. And that's really important to me. As far as, what was your second question? I'm older. I can't remember. The second question?
That was the follow-up question.
The follow-up question. I say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Hi. Well, with the follow-up, it's very much, I know writers and editors who absolutely hate it. I also know the ones who kind of, yeah, it's absolutely fine. With the time, you know, 2 weeks is probably, you know, if you are doing it, 2 weeks is okay. What most people dislike, and most kind of, you know, serious journalists, is if you don't know them in person writing, you know, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? You know, their general attitude is like, piss off. You know, you don't know who I am, you know, that sort of thing. This fake friendliness, you know. Please don't do that, you know. Just say what it is that you know, chasing an email that you sent, you know, and say a couple of lines about your album, whatever you're sending, you know. So follow-ups, you know, in general it's okay, but there are some people who take an exception to it, yeah. And there are some very prickly and, you know, sometimes unpleasant people, you know, in the journalist community, unsurprisingly, you know, so, but, you know, if somebody snaps at you, just don't get provoked, okay? Don't, you know, let them drag you to that sort of level. So that's follow-up. What was the first question?
Would you mind getting direct emails?
Direct emails. Again, it depends. But that kind of leads on to something that I wanted to mention about really two strands. You know, there's more and more kind of publications that are effectively kind of marketing PR arms. It's, you know, I wouldn't call it journalism, you know, and a lot of the stuff that they do is effectively sponsored content, you know, so, and it's channeled through, mainly for particular PRs or particular deals. So you'd struggle to get anything to those kind of publications. You may be able to get, you know, into their playlist or something smaller, or, you know, they do like a weekly roundup of like new releases, but you wouldn't get an album review. No, you know, that's really hard to get. And there are still who are still, you know, genuine journalism, you know, where, you know, and they do try to listen to kind of everything there is, and to try and at least, you know, read stuff directly from artists. The thing about an agency, they would know who and how to approach, and also they have a certain roster that, you know, people trust, and they know, you know, which what kind of sound they're connected to, what sort of other list of clients they have. And often, you know, as an agency myself, you know, I have budgets, you know, marketing budgets from particular clients. So in order kind of to get hold of the much wanted budgets, you know, publications might do you a deal, you know, say, look, I've got, you know, this artist, or, you know, somebody a bit higher up, and if they want an interview with this artist, I would say, you know, like, well, I've got another one, you know, this new guy, and would you like to listen to that? So there is a reason why you can like get more out of an agency, you know, in terms of responses. Again, I'm really sorry I can't be like more specific, but it is knowing, you know, who is who.
You mentioned, Sandy, earlier that you should have named your publication Cashbox Global, because it is global. And my question for you is kind of a continuation of his question. Can I, for example, I'm a Romanian emerging artist, can I actually hope to get your attention and get a review in your magazine just by sitting in my house and doing everything we've talked about and sending you an email?
Will you send candy? They sent candy and they got a cover.
Yeah, really?
They sent candy. I love Haribo. You can't get it in Canada. They sent me Haribo. Seriously, I'm not joking. They sent me Haribo, and they got a cover from Sweden. So there you go. We take candy.
Swedish chocolate.
Swedish chocolate. I ate it all in one day. It was so bad. No, you can. And again, it's the subject line, right? If you put greetings from Romania, I go, that's pretty cool. I mean, I love that. That's wonderful. Because then we pay attention. So it's really in your subject line and how you write that first part of your email. But we love that. Like I said, I'm actually thinking of launching international because it just, music has no borders. There's music, wonderful music everywhere. And I think it's important that we listen to that. And I think that we're very approachable. I've got tons of cards. Anybody want to send us stories? We are very, very approachable.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add, please?
Sorry.
Yeah, we love to play foreign music in foreign languages, so we would love to get stuff like that. But as we don't have much time to search for it, then if you send us, it's even better.
Do you like chocolate?
Do you like chocolate?
I'm not so easy.
In terms of international, with BBC you'd struggle a bit unless you're on the UK label, you know, or some kind of UK connection has to like pin it to. At the very least, you're playing at a really big festival where that particular radio station is running some session or something like that. You know, you would struggle. Although something like the BBC, if you work with UK artists, is probably more accessible with certain more commercial publications. In terms of the press, you know, obviously there's so much pressure, and we've got, you know, dwindling number of, you know, outlets as well. I don't know if you've seen it, you know, this year again, you know, we lost some major blogs and magazines as well, like Fruit's Gone, which is like folk music magazine that's been going for many decades. We lost Drown and Sand. We're about to lose the 4 or 5, you know, so you know, but on the other hand, you know, there's a resurgence of print magazines, you know, Face magazine first edition, you know, comeback edition this month, and also Sounds is coming back, and we've got a resurgence of new kind of magazines that are not so much kind of something for everyone, but the other way around, like everything for someone. They cater for kind of not niche in terms of genre, you know, or specific styles of music, but for kind of fan communities. It's almost like back to fanzines, but produced in a very aesthetically pleasing, you know, way. So it's for people who share the ethos and aesthetic and maybe musical angle, you know, magazines like Gold Flake Paint, Cool Brother, So Young, and all of those, you know, are flying high, although they may not have the massive stats. They really are regarded as kind of new music tastemaker publications, and something like So Young and Cool Brother are media partners of The Great Escape, you know, no less. That's our main showcase event. So there are big changes happening underway. In terms of covering international stuff, you know, I would say you'd be better off going through PR agents. And that's not, you know, because I'm a PR agency. It's just generally that's how it happens. There are also something to take into account. Certainly in the UK, you know, I don't know whether it's the same in North America, there are certain kind of sound trends, you know, and it just feels like sometimes the media and the industry can only kind of handle 2 or 3 musical, you know, sonic tropes within each particular season. And if something falls out of it, you know, they just don't pick it up, you know. Right at the moment, you know, what I'm seeing, you know, with you know, bands like Crack Cloud and what else we've got, A Black Country, New Road, Squid, you know, all the hot new stuff, you know. There's definitely the sort of the backdrop soundtrack, you know, which can be quite heavy and depressing, where spoken word over it, like spoken word is all the rage now. No one's singing. And it's got electronic projects as well. That's pretty big, you know. And like hip hop, you know, urban genres gaining momentum as well. And on the more commercial side, you know, it's pop, but you know, that's almost slightly different side of the media as well. So you have to take into account, you know, those trends as well, and trends within the media landscape or a particular territory.
Okay, so any more questions? There we go.
Yeah, hi, this
curious, for a lot of independent artists, approaching a large agency might be cost prohibitive, and yet the internet is full of people proclaiming to be amazing PR agents. I was wondering if you might have some advice for independent artists trying to find, and I'll say initially, an affordable agency to help them out, to make those connections, to help them navigate local PR?
Yes, there are certain agents. One thing I would say, and this is kind of, working against myself. I'm based in Edinburgh. I used to live in London and Manchester, and now I'm in Scotland. But I would say London-based agency is usually better, because all of our industry, and and our media is based in London. Everything's.
Yeah, but I think we could generalize a bit, not keep it in the UK. What are some signs that a PR or a person advertising themselves?
Well, look at their results. Not very, very few. I mean, my website. You've got all the up-to-date results. All the coverage for the clients. But you can still Google things. Because they always have a roster on their website. And check out what those artists have been getting. Doesn't necessarily. Sometimes it could be artists that not particularly well known, but where they're getting coverage, across how many publications, that's kind of important. But you also have to understand, if the artist is got bigger label or significant kind of tastemaker label, then they probably have a budget, to spread across, somebody working on playlists, somebody who's doing the radio plugging, they're probably with press it's split between print and online. And obviously the more people you have, the higher budget you have. It's all kind of it helps to get more. The more you have, the more you're gonna get, So, but I can certainly recommend certain agencies to you, at least, the UK ones, and some of them do work with international artists nowadays. As Europe opening up with so many wonderful showcases, this is like here, so there's more interest, at least in European repertoire.
Anything you want to add?
Speaking of showcases, one of the things I wanted to say is I know that this is costly when everybody comes to these things. It's a lot of money, but you can develop great relationships. And I always say, you're jumping off the diving board and you're praying to God there's water, because you come out of this not knowing what your ROI is, right? You spend money to come, you spend money to eat, which drink, and you don't know what you're going to get back. But right now we've just developed friendships here, and you don't realize that until you go home and you start emailing each other. I wanted to point that out, that I mentioned Bear Johnson Free, and Rachel Cousins here. She is from Newfoundland, and that's near the Arctic in Canada. That's the other side of the world for me. And I went to on a panel with Peter, because Peter always talks us into doing everything. And I went to Newfoundland. Rachel got a cover on Cashbox, and she's a very young artist, lovely entertainer. I did not know Rachel. I met her in Newfoundland. And I'm from Canada, and I didn't know there's a French island on the side of Newfoundland, Saint-Pierre-le-Miquelon, by France. No idea. 15 minutes away, we're in France. But Rachel is very young, very energetic, full of getting her story out there. And because she was like that, she got a cover on Cashbox. Bear Johnson Free, Sweden, I met them in Newfoundland, of all places. They wrote a song called Hello Newfoundland, which became #1 on the Swedish charts for how many weeks? Because all the Newfoundlanders were voting. So it's developing those relationships, I think, that is really, really important. I'm sending you music. But I think it's all about that. Barbara, Barry Stagg, I've known her husband for 40 years. We've reconnected. They just recently did France and Madame with us, and we all went as an entourage and had a wonderful time. My friends from BC, they had a cover. Never knew them before, and we just got to know each other because they phoned me because they were mad about another publication and wanted to bitch at me thinking it was me. It wasn't me, and we became friends, and they got a cover. Peter Anderson's in the back. He's from California. Same thing. He thought it was the same publication. He yelled at me. He got a cover.
So basically, if I want a cover, I just yell at you. Yeah, okay.
I'll feel really dumb. Bring candy. I'm telling you, candy. So I think it's about developing relationships. You and I now have a relationship after 48 hours of talking about all kinds of things. And never think we're unapproachable, right? Because we are here to, I'm approachable. But I think we're approachable to, I will give you, just like a lawyer, 15 minutes free time. And so I think after, I hate to admit this, 45 years in the business, I've earned that right to be able to share my knowledge. And I think that's really important. But never think that this is a waste of money to come to these things, because you never know who you're going to meet. If you're playing to an audience of 12 people, you know, we were in a location last night, David Silva was there from Summerfest, there were maybe 20 people there. The kids singing got Summerfest, the largest festival in North America. There was only 12 people in the audience. He didn't know. So you never think that any of these relationships you're going to build aren't important. It's all about building relationships.
Any
I
conclusions?
agree.
No?
In terms of showcases, this is my 11th INES event, you know, plus like non-INES other showcases that I work for, and I've been to, and some of them, you know, have fantastic press. They've got press trips, you know, they've got budgets for that, you know. With Tallinn Music Week was one of my clients. It's one of the most alternative, very interesting, you know, events in Tallinn, Estonia, at the end of March, early April every year. And, you know, press are just jostling for position there. So we had the Independent, we had the Guardian, the Economist, you know. This year we had Forbes as well as all the kind of big blogs, and that's just kind of UK, US, you know. Obviously there's a lot of Finnish media, you know, media across Europe. So I never have enough press trips, you know, for Tallinn. And same with Eurosonic as well. You know, Eurosonic, we're lucky we're able to invite a lot of journalists, and this year we're already starting to work on that. There's already plans underway, and, you know, likely to be more North American media again there, as well as European. So it's not just the UK, you know, want to kind of emphasize that. And even with some smaller events like Budapest Showcase Hub, when, you know, worked with them a couple of years ago, you know, we took a few journalists with us, you know, from big publications. It's your opportunity kind of to meet them face to face. And that is, as I think, you know, we keep emphasizing, is the most important thing, you know, just that face-to-face meeting and like knowing people personally, you know, and you quicker get to know what they're like and what they like.
Okay, thank you guys very much.